Life isn't always convenient or pretty or Pinterest worthy, to say the least. So we're sharing ways to find joy in the unexpected. Those moments when you may not get what you want, but you probably got just what you need. Is that not a song, Connie? Okay, so we have Studio 5 contributor, Back to Basics founder, Connie Sokol here with us. Love having you on. What can we learn when life takes that unexpected turn? Because no one is happy about that.
I know, and that's the thing is I think we have these unspoken, sometimes very spoken, expectations about life, and that's what can be so difficult is that we almost fight the very thing that we really want because it's those very unexpected things that will give us the life growth and the wisdom and the things that we really yearn for in here, but we really don't want to go through the inconvenience of it, quite frankly.
You know, it's so funny because this idea of expectations, you got to have them, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you don't have expectations from life, you're going to find yourself in trouble.
Yes.
However, I have gotten myself into all kinds of trouble with expectations.
Yes.
What do you do about that?
Well, and it's evaluating. The first step really is to evaluate what those expectations are and whether, especially if you don't even really know, sometimes they're hidden and other times they're very normal and they're noteworthy and they're good. And so that's why we get confused when we're like, hey, this was a good expectation. Why am I not getting it? When I was thinking about this principle, I thought about my good friend Nina, and she is a love. She and her husband wanted children, couldn't have them, ended up adopting 17 children.
Oh,
bless her soul.
those
and from
people.
all different situations. And then she said what happened was so strange that one year things just were really difficult, and then one year she was on her back for a full year with horrendous back pain. That led her to healing things, which led her to acupuncture, which led her to take their family. They moved to Hawaii. She learned how to do acupuncture. Now that's what she does. And then she said, unexpected, is that when things went hard with her kids and one of her sons died, all of these things happened. She said, I had to get up, I had to go to work, I had to go and be with my clients, healing them, which of course you know was helping to heal her. So this unexpected thing, this kind of evaluating her expectations of saying, oh my gosh, I thought my life was going to be like this, and now it was like this, but being able to say, that's okay.
And it's such a good point that sometimes when we miss opportunities, other doors open. And do we kind of sneak by those other doors if we're not willing to say, this wasn't a part of my plan, but I'm going to roll with it? I mean, your friend clearly rolled with it.
Yes.
Although I don't feel bad that she moved to Hawaii, but she did roll with it.
That would be horrifying. You know what's interesting is that is the second point. It's this look for the unexpected answers, and that is exactly it. Oh my gosh, what's that quote from Sound of Music where God closes a door, he opens a window or something? I can just see her with her cute little apron and her dress, you know, singing The Hills Are Alive. But that's the thing is that when we look for unexpected answers, sometimes we get so focused on looking for that answer that we want that we don't see the ones that are coming at us that are actually better for us for now and in the future. And so we just have to look for what those unexpected answers may look like. And that can be in different things, in our children and ourselves. It just depends.
So how do we switch? Because I think a lot of us maybe are getting hung up that we can see a door is closed. We finally get to the point that we're accepting it. But how do we change our attitudes to be able to accept this? Maybe a new path.
Right, and the unexpected answer. I think being able to see the value in what it brings to you instead of spending so much time grieving on what was or what couldn't be. So, for example, I remember this great, she's a New York Times bestselling author, I believe, Martine Levitt. She's wonderful, teaches at the prestigious Vermont Fine Arts College. She was doing a keynote, and I remember her saying that she had lots of children, and it was a difficult time of her life, and she was praying for more time to write. And she said, what I got was another child. And you know, that is the exact opposite of time to write. But she said that in this discovery, she discovered what this other person had said, and it was Catherine Paterson, and she is the wife of a pastor and the mother of 4 children. She said, somebody said that same thing to her. How did you find time with all your obligations and things? And she said, without these obligations, I would have had nothing to say. Other demands on my time gave structure to life, and this helped me as a writer. And I echo that wholeheartedly. With 7 children, she also had 7, that I would not have that context, the riches, the things to share in my desire to help women and families. I would not have those tools without my children and those obligations or those time takers that people kind of can say, oh, how do you do? And I say that is my life. That is the thing that gives me that richness, that joy, that the stress and the beauty for ashes or whatever it is, that gives me all of that. And I have my message because of those very things. So it's the unexpected answer. So it really is because because we lament that it's not the way we wanted it. But then we can open ourselves up. And that's the key, is getting curious. Is instead of saying like me sometimes, what the hey, saying instead, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why. Yeah. I wonder why. We don't dwell on the why, but we can ask, I wonder why. And the wonder of wondering leads us to be open, and that creates answers.
You know, I think you're right. And just hearing that story, and especially the quote, is so touching.
Isn't that sweet?
It speaks to so many people because it is so touching. And I have to say, I have a friend who was an opera singer, and funny enough, in her early 20s she sings in New York, and she would go to these auditions and get turned away, and then she's since had 4 children, which she says, and of course her agents say to her, you know, that is going to worry you, this crazy or pregnant woman trying out for this opera, blah, 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 and, you know, a list of criticism. And she said, it is so different though, because I've had these children, I go in and I stand with such confidence, like, oh, no, 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 no. Yeah. You ain't got nothing on me. Like, I'm going to, this is me.
That's right.
And this is who I am. And she said that,
that's right.
For her at least, she said it actually gave her a richness to her voice that she never could have had with these kind of frail, younger singers.
Oh my gosh, you get solid, and even more than a big belly. You just get solid in your soul, and you say, I know who I am, and I know what I'm about. That is exactly it. And you cannot get it by shortcutting. It's by no other way.
I love it. So what about you say to celebrate a new outcome?
Exactly.
How do we do that?
Well, and that kind of goes along with that unexpected answer. When you're finding the better, finding the good that comes out of it, then you're going to celebrate what you can. And like I mentioned, try not to grieve longer than you need to, but give time for grieving, because that is such a healing process. There's a great book called Tear Soup that a friend gave me, but it's a great thing to watershed that out and then celebrate what you can. My friend that I mentioned earlier, she now has 2 grandchildren that are up for adoption because of really difficult circumstances, and she's not going to be able to see them, but she gets to see one of them in a couple of weeks. And what's she taking? She's taking a beautiful quilt that she made for this daughter, or this grandchild. And I just think that is so wonderful. She has focused on what can I do? What can I share? What can I offer? How can I connect? Rather than focusing on why did life deal me such hard cards? And I love that. That when we can get to that place, then we stop having tantrums and we start embracing change. We start aligning ourselves with change and saying, you know what, this came and now I'm going to shift it and I'm going to change my perspective and my expectation, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be even better.
It's such a lovely thought and so appreciated, because it's hard to do that. And I know
it is.
Sometimes you do have to kind of push the stop button, take a couple steps back and say, how can I look at this? I mean, the quilt, it would be so difficult to not just say, I can't even deal with this. I can't even face this. Instead, she made something beautiful out of it. And that child will always know.
That's right. And that connection. And like I said, take that time to go, have your tantrum, but then move forward, because that is the beauty for ashes. That's embracing the change and saying, what can I bloom with this? What can I do with it?
Connie, you are an expert in helping people through life changes. Just told me. And you have a free download. Tell me about that. Where can people find it?
It's 3 keys to make a life change. I talked to so many women, and it came down to 3 different things: more purposeful, organized, and joyful lives. And I said, okay, here's 3 tips you can apply to any one of those. Start them. You'll start to create a change. It'll move you to a shift. So it's a free download, ConnieSokol.com, just the big orange button. Get started on making a change. You'll feel better.
Thanks so much, Connie. Always a delight seeing you.